Hey everyone, it's your girl Olympia D, and welcome to another edition of Hey Girl, Let's Talk. And of course, I got my girls with me. We got Madison James in the room and also Holly Hayes. How are you guys doing?
Doing good. Doing good.
So you guys know today we're focused on women's health, and of course, it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So I'm wearing my shirt, Stronger Than.
There's a pink on.
But look, you're in the game. You got your pink on, so you guys look beautiful.
Thank you. You do too.
Thank you.
Awesome. So with Breast Cancer Awareness Month, we just want to make sure we shed some light on some things that, could bring some awareness to the situation, not just for women, but also for some men too. And here with us today, we have some wonderful guests. And Madison, go ahead and bring up our first guest.
Well, our first guest is Dr. Jewel Carr. She's a family physician for Atrium Health right here in the Charlotte area. Dr. Carr, there you are. Thank you for joining us. We really do appreciate it. And then Holly, you have your guest.
Well, besides my, I have a friend that is a 17-year survivor here in Charlotte, local, and she's also a founding member of Carolina Breast Friends. And I'm so excited to have Pam join us, Pam Phipps. So hi, Pam.
Hi.
Hey, Pam.
Thank you for having me.
Well, Pam, thanks for joining us. We really do appreciate it because we're such short on time. We really want to get this rolling and get the information out there. And I'm going to ask you a quick question, Dr. Carr. Are you noticing an uptick in younger patients who are noticing that they have found a lump and may have breast cancer?
So I think we're all much more aware of women in our lives who have had breast cancer. And that's one of the things that I think has made us all feel like, because even in my own personal life, I feel like more and more of my friends and colleagues are showing up with breast cancer. But there's only really been a small number, a small increase. It went from about 1.53% to just over 2%, almost 3% jump, which is not a huge numerical jump, not a statistically significant jump in the number of breast cancer incidences in young women. But I think the thing is that we also live in a different time, where we are much more connected with people who we may not have been connected with in the past. You wouldn't have known that they had breast cancer. But we do, I think, feel that. But there's not been a huge increase in the actual number of cases in younger women.
I have a question for Dr. Carr. This can go for men too. I don't want men to think that they are not at risk, but what age should men and women, mostly women, but start getting checked? If you have no history of breast cancer in your family, is it okay to kind of wait till later, or is it always just when girls start, reaching a certain age, should they start doing the self-exams, and then what other exams?
Right. So it's interesting because screening, it doesn't seem like it should be a controversy, but most groups recommend annual screening starting at age 40, depending on your family history. Some women, if they have a first-degree relative, which would be a mother, a sister, or a grandmother, a first-degree relative, or their daughter who's had breast cancer at a younger age, they may do a screening mammogram, like a baseline mammogram starting at 35. But I have a lot of patients who are sometimes afraid to start that screening. And so it's really an important conversation to have with your doctor when you should start, because if you're relatively healthy and your risks are low, I think it's my job to help stay on top of it and to continue to have that conversation with my patient every year. But I wouldn't recommend anyone going past the age of 50 without at least having one.
Okay.
So I try to, once we hit that 50, if I've had women who've been resistant for a myriad of reasons, I really start to try to kick up my efforts at getting them screened.
And I have another quick question. All this information is amazing. If there's a history of breast cancer and you have patients that are coming to you for their, yearly checkups, yearly physicals, and should they be a little bit more concerned if there's been a history of breast cancer in their family?
Absolutely. Especially, again, when we talk about those first-degree relatives. So that mother, daughter, sister. They should absolutely. And I think one of the underutilized resources that we have, at our fingertips here in our community are our genetic counselors. So we have folks who are trained to do this work. And if you have any real question or you're not sure, I often will send my patients to speak with a genetic counselor so they can sit down and draw out that family tree like we did, like when you learned how to draw the circle for the mom, the square for the dad in elementary school. And they sit and they literally draw out that tree and try to help figure out what their risk is. That is definitely one of the things that I would recommend for folks if they have that concern. But again, talking to your doctor about who it is in your family that have breast cancer is going to be important. About 85% of women who have breast cancer do not have any family member or genetic risk, even when they do the genetic testing, because almost all women who are diagnosed with breast cancer at this point will have genetic testing to see if they carry any number of the genes that show an increased risk. And most women, 85% of women do not. It's just life and age. And two of the main risk, the two highest risk factors for breast cancer obviously are being a woman and getting older. And those are two things that we just we can't stop and we can't help.
Well, you bring up a good topic with this, because if it's 85% that don't have a history of it, don't have a genetic imprint for it, is it then not only age and being a woman, but is the carcinogens and stuff that's in our elements in this day and age different? Is that why the number is higher and not more of a genetic factor, but an environmental factor?
Yes, and there's so when you think about the number of, like, look at my office, look behind me. There's so much stuff in this room. In this top drawer, I have my my chapstick and my hand lotion and my everything, and I've got a protein shake in there that I didn't make myself, and I don't know what the ingredients are. But when we think about that, there's so many things. It's really hard to really truly say that there's a cause and effect. We do know that healthy eating, being physically active, all of those things help make us healthier in general and reduce our risk of cancer and cancer in general. So I would say that, paying attention to eating healthy as best you can. I mean, and that means different things for different people. And I always want to be sensitive to that because, we have this idea of what healthy is, but you definitely want to make sure that you're eating healthy, paying attention to what you're putting in your body and what you're being exposed to. Also, doing all the things that we know, like quit not smoking and doing your very best to quit, seeking help if you need it to quit smoking, not over indulging in alcohol, and then maintaining a healthy weight are going to be, again, very important factors. And so that kind of links it. So obesity increases your risk of breast cancer, and obviously unhealthy eating goes along with that. So making sure that you're doing those things is important.
And Dr. Carr, I just kind of want to piggyback off of Holly's question, because we've seen a big push to go organic. Is there any connection with deodorants and perspiration, antiperspirants with cancer or breast cancer?
No. So there are no proven studies to show, and there's this theory that antiperspirants, and it also kind of goes in the category with underwire bras, they kind of go in that same category when you look for the research to support that, is that they block you from releasing toxins from your body when you sweat. I think the bigger thing is that there's no deodorant that is going to completely block you from having from the sweat being released from your body. So there's no evidence at all that there's any connection between antiperspirants and those things. And can it clog your pores and make your underarms irritated? For sure. Is it going to give you breast cancer? The answer to that is no.
All right. And also, we talk a lot about prevention, but there are a lot of people who have been diagnosed with cancer. What are some things that people can do to increase their chances of surviving breast cancer, male or female? Right.
I think it's the same things that we talk about when we talk about prevention. So if you are diagnosed with breast cancer, doing your very best, and the treatments are hard and they make some of doing these things hard, right? So continuing to move your body and trying to eat the best diet that you can. You want to focus on whole foods. My favorite tip is, people have said it many times, shopping the perimeter of the grocery store. So you're eating as fresh as you can, frozen vegetables over canned vegetables when you can, and all those sorts of things to sort of, improve your diet. And maintaining that is going to be important. I think the other thing that we understate is having support. Support, connections, whether they be spiritual or otherwise, family, friends. I think we underestimate the impact of having that positive, supportive circle around a woman when she is a woman or man, a person when they're going through breast cancer, is truly underestimated. Because I'm sure some people, we all know women and men and folks who are stone cold healthy. They are the healthiest people who the universe drops in and drops breast cancer on them. And, the thing that keeps those people going are the things they're already doing it, but they have that support and those networks to really, really help them, look to the future. And, when the days get long and hard and bad, having someone to lean on is really important. And I don't want to understate that.
I think that's a great time to bring Pam in to the conversation. I mean, we can chime back in with questions for Dr. Carr as well. But Pam, once again, you are a 17-year survivor and a co-founder, a founding member of Carolina Breast Friends here in Charlotte. So tell us, how did you find out you had breast cancer? Could you kind of share your journey with us?
Well, mine is quite an interesting journey because I had a recurring cyst in my left breast that would have to be aspirated. And it was something that I felt. And when I went to my mammography breast cancer specialist, she said that we just needed to watch it. I was afraid, could this be breast cancer? And she said no. She said typically, it's fluid filled, but we'll keep a check on it. And every 6 months, we'll do a mammogram and an ultrasound. And certain types, the cysts, interestingly, would show on the ultrasound, but it would not show on the mammogram. So I never was able to see it on the mammogram. All that to say, I did this for 5 years. I did this like at least 2 times a year, whatever. She would aspirate, we'd send it off. It was fine. The last time I did my mammogram, though, 5 years later, she called me back in to check and do some more of the testing. And when she did, she found that I had a calcium cluster. And that's very common to have. Women have calcium deposits. I'm sure our doctor will confirm that. And especially as you get older. And at the time I was 56. And so the calcium cluster, as it turned out, was hiding behind my cyst. And after it was aspirated, then she, increased her photographs of it. And I had one irregular, the little tiny specks, like grains of salt. I had one that had an irregular edge. And she said, I think we should biopsy. Still, after 5 years, I did not think that there was anything going on because I've been doing this that long. And she said, I don't necessarily think it is either, but let's just double check. And once I went to see the radiologist and everything, she said, it's a 50-50 crapshoot. There is no way to know whether this is until we biopsy. And sure enough, once I was biopsied, it was the very beginnings of breast cancer, and it was the size of the speck of a pin. So I felt very blessed to have been able to find that, but I was in total shock because I was not prepared for that at all. After all, I'd gone as carefully as I had taken, each year, check it out. So as it turns out, I had dense breasts, which I'd known, but I had hyperplasia, which is where the cells can begin to change to a precancerous condition. And when I saw my surgeon about what to do and that kind of what steps I was going to take, I decided to do a double mastectomy because I was in the situation that 5 years later, this hyperplasia could develop into a type of breast cancer, and in the other breast. So I did a double mastectomy and decided right on the spot to go down that road.
How hard was that?
Yeah, Dr. Carr, I wanted to ask you about that. Is that an extreme measure or a proactive measure, or is it what Pam's saying, that she had such dense breast tissue and all these calcifications? Was it, I don't want to say smart, because I'm not saying you're not smart. I'm saying, is it one of the choices that you have to say, okay, I have a high risk of it going to the next breast and I don't want to deal with it again, so I'm just going to take them out?
Absolutely. And, that's an intensely personal journey for every woman. And, I would never, there's never any real great right or wrong answer for that. And so, I understand, especially if you're looking at what your future, who in your family, who is relying on you to be there in the future. And sometimes that can greatly impact a person's decision whether or not to pursue that route of having the prophylactic bilateral mastectomy, or having that other breast that's not cancerous removed as well. Because again, the treatments can be brutal and long, and for some women, that course of action makes a lot of sense.
Well, and she had 5 years of the testing and every 6 months getting it checked. And so there was a lot of stress. And
that
stress
is super stressful. Yeah, that sounds, I was thinking that.
Exacerbate the issue,
When you were saying that every 6 months, I was like, I can't imagine the stress.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yes, it was highly stressful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was there a history of breast cancer in your family, or as far as you know, were you ground patient zero?
No history, just like Dr. Carr said.
Okay.
Typically, the majority have no history, and everyone thinks it's the reverse, right, Dr. Carr?
Yeah, it's very interesting.
You didn't end up having radiation and or chemo. You just took the breast. You had the mastectomy.
I did the double mastectomy, and by doing that, I did not have to have radiation or chemo. And that was another thing. I didn't want to wait to see what would happen, or see how large something might get, or after 5 years, I just decided I wanted to take them both off and get new girls.
Wow.
That's what I was thinking too.
I like that.
They've come a long way with the cosmetic and the reconstructive aspect of things as well.
Yeah. Right. And I don't want time to get away from us without talking about the foundation that's local here, right on Moorhead Street, Carolina Breast Friends. Tell us how were they there for you when you were going through this, or did you join for support, or like it kind of explain? I know a lot about them, but I want you to explain it since you're a founding member there.
Right. I was very fortunate that 3 weeks after my surgery, I saw an article in the paper, in the Charlotte Observer, that was a breast cancer survivor named Christy Adams Ebel, And she had an article saying that she had tried, she was in chemo, she had mastectomy, she was really trying to find a support group and could not, and find one that wasn't, she couldn't find one that was not a pity party, is what she said. And she said, are there any other 30-year-olds out there? And if so, give me a call. You know, I've decided I'm going to start a group. So I called her up and told her that I was definitely interested, that I wanted to pursue this, would love to do it with her, but there was only one problem. I was not 30 years old. And she said, doesn't matter. I said, I'm 56. And she said, breast cancer does not choose age. We're going to have everybody. And that's one thing that I think is really important. Christy Adams Ebel then started, they had already started, she had had three other friends in chemo, and Meg Turner at the time from now Atrium, but back then it was not called Atrium, but the social worker, she had started meeting with us. I met along with three other women, and we got the nonprofit status in 2003 and started meeting at Myers Park Methodist Church. And they let us have space, and we just started connecting one-to-one with other survivors that were diagnosed. And it's been an absolute miraculous godsend.
And later down the road, a man in Charlotte passed away and donated a house on Moorhead Street, a beautiful, the houses that you see on Moorhead, beautiful 2-story house. And what I love about Carolina Breast Friends, I don't have history of breast cancer. I don't have breast cancer. A dear friend of mine who Pam knows, Janice, is a survivor. And she introduced me to Carolina Breast Friends, and I just started supporting them and going to the Pink Boots Ball, which you guys just had last week, and it's every year. So if you guys want information about that, ask Pam. But not only is it the local money is contained, and I have nothing against research, obviously. God bless everyone that's doing breast cancer research, but Carolina Breast Friends helps people that are going through it. They help them find wigs. They help them with their IV bags. They help them with inspirational support, because you don't know, unless you're going through it, all of the ugly stuff that's going on behind the scenes. And these women locked arms, and they didn't care if their hair was falling out, and hey, she's wearing a scarf, and hey, you don't need a wig, you're beautiful without it. Or hey, you want to get a wig? Here, this is where you get wigs. And they just socks. They need socks because their feet are always cold. They need chapstick because their lips are always chapped. It dries out their skin. This kind of stuff that you don't know unless you're going through it. So that's what they do in the house and hang out there, right? They can just hang out there.
Well, they can hang out there, and we have a healing garden, in the back now where you can meet with others and all of that. But as soon as you're diagnosed, we try to get the survivors, and they're immediately a survivor once they're diagnosed, because they are on their journey to survive their breast cancer. So we try to get them to the Pink House. We have mentors. We meet them where they are, whether they're at the beginning stages working with their doctors, or some come and don't know what to do and haven't even seen a doctor yet, and except for the diagnosis that diagnostic office visit has been held. So we have the inspiration jars for them to draw inspirations out every day. We have the drain bag. As far as surgery, we have the drain bag holders. We have the comfort bag with everything, as Holly said, that's in that you need in the hospital, and our wonderful mastectomy pillows, which still use to this day.
Explain to me. I don't even know what that is. Can you explain what that is? What is a mastectomy pillow?
The mastectomy pillows are small pillows that fit that fit right under your arms, where your drains would be after you have surgery. And uh, and then you can use them ongoing when you're sitting in a chair, and it keeps the pressure off of pushing underneath your arms after your surgery, because of course that's going to be very sensitive.
Yeah.
It's very comforting, and then you can sleep with them also. It's where they are propped up underneath. When you're in the hospital, you have these huge pillows that's nice to have, but it doesn't fit where you need them. They're wonderful also in the car if you're driving a long distance, to be able, or if you're driving, period. Once you can drive, you can use them and continue to use them. But we have the aprons and bags that will hold your drains. We have the all of the different types of items, like prosthesis for women who are not going to have mastectomies and maybe not have implants put in. But we have wonderful prosthesis. We have beautiful wigs now. And that's what Christy wanted, a one-stop shop, a place to get your emotional support, to have a mentor to work with you specifically, and who hopefully what we try to do is match them up with the same type of diagnosis that the other ladies have had. And it's so helpful to be able to have someone there to call on who's been through it before you, and help you walk that walk. And then we have all our Zooms with educational programs. We have Pilates, yoga. We have those kinds of experiences at the house. We have nutrition classes. And on Zoom with COVID, we have just been booming, and all of these Zooms are seen all across the country. And we've seen probably now, since opening in 2003, probably 3,000 to 4,000 women at least.
Right. And Dr. Carr, before we close out, Madison closes us out, what advice would you give someone who may be going through this right now? They may be going through a diagnosis right now.
I would say reach out to organizations like Carolina Breast Friends. I mean, they are there for everybody in the community. I think one of the things that Pam didn't mention is that it doesn't matter your financial status or those types of things as well for folks. I have many women who I've sent, many of my personal patients that I've sent over who needed just help and assistance in just navigating the system. Never stop asking questions. If you think about it, write it down so you don't forget the question you want to ask, because there will be so much going on. In navigating the healthcare system, when you have something like this where there's lots of steps and lots of different kinds of doctors involved, can be very frustrating, and getting the appointments right and knowing where you're supposed to be, and things constantly moving and changing. And then if your treatment plan changes, so make sure you're keeping some sort of book or place where you're keeping all of your information together, because it can be a lot to remember. And again, navigating the system can be frustrating. And I know at Atrium, at the Cancer Center here, like they have navigators who can assist women with, again, just navigating that incredibly complex and oftentimes frustrating system. So anytime you're offered any sort of, even if you don't feel like you need them, I think everybody at some point needs somebody that they can just reach out to and ask a question. So make sure that you're utilizing all of the resources that are available to you.
And know that you're not alone. Like, even if you have a huge family and a huge support team, and even if you don't have family, you have people there. And like Dr. Carr said, there are resources. Ask your doctor, ask them to point you in the right direction. Contact places like Carolina Breast Friends. It is kind of cool to lock arms with someone that's going through it.
Absolutely.
And can say, oh, I felt this. Did you feel this? I'm tired. I'm nauseous. I'm this or whatever. So you're not being the complainer at home. Or, some women are very strong going to give us a pat on the back. We don't like to complain. We're caregivers. So when we're sick, we power through. We still have to grocery shop and do laundry and take care of a family and a house and a job and whatever. So we don't like to ask for help. You need to ask for help.
Right.
You're not alone. Okay.
Well, thank you, ladies, so much for tuning in with us. Really do appreciate it. Dr. Carr, Pam, thank you, ladies, so much. As always, do your self-exams. And if you see something, say something. And Pam, with her testimony, has said that she saw something, it wasn't right, she kept going back. If you see something, say something. And it's just not for the month of October. It's 365 days of the year. So let's always keep that in mind as we do bring awareness for the month of October. Ladies, awesome time. Our time is up, but we will be back again on October 19th for another Hey Girl, Let's Talk session. Thank you all for checking in and checking us out, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.